So the Drake album, For All the Dogs, just came out. Yeah, make some noise, make some noise. Yo, he didn't let the fans down. I will start off with that. I will say that Drake definitely, did this album for the fans. I mean, who we got on here, man? We got SZA, of course, everybody knows. Of course, 21 Savage. Of course, a few others out there, like Party Next Door, people from the crew. But he also went ahead and put Sexyy Red, Bad Bunny, and J. Cole on the project. Yo. Dope, right? So that to me lets me know that, like, yo, man, Drake is obviously putting an album out that is for the fans. That could also be the downside to this project, is that it doesn't seem like there's really any substance to this album. Okay? It seems that this album, to me, lacks the ability to connect to some sort of message. It just sounds very mundane. A lot of the beats and production, in my opinion, sound the same. And a lot of the monotone sounds the same that Drake is singing in a lot of these rhymes. And that's another thing. This album to me does not really sound like a rap hip hop album, even though we know it's going to be labeled on the Billboard charts as top rap albums. But we know that this is not really a rap album. I would actually consider this not only just an R&B album, but I would also say a pop album. That's what the category of this album falls under to me. But do I think that this project was just like, oh man, this project was just groundbreaking? Like the lyrics that he was saying were just, I mean, all he was talking about really on this album, from what I heard, is just how rich he is, how much money he's got. It sounds like there was a woman or some women that he was dating that he trusted and they broke his trust, of course, or they didn't really care. He even goes on to talk about in one song, well, what if I wasn't Drake? Would you still love me the way I am? Like, probably not. Probably not, Aubrey. But that's okay, man. That's what it's all about, man. You're supposed to make moves. You're supposed to do things. This is just an album. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know if it's a fan album or if it's an album that he just had to get off for the label or whatever it was. But I will say that with all the people that are listening and with all the hype that you have, you would think that you would actually take the time to talk about something other than the fact of how much money you got and how people think you're part of the Illuminati and that you can fly girls to wherever you're at. Like, oh yeah, I'll fly you out, girl. Okay. He knows his frequency. He knows his formula. He knows his frequency. And it sounds like he's doing that all over this album. Like, there's only a few tracks on here where I said to myself, I was like, oh, okay. It sounds like Drake is doing something different here. But for the most part, it sounded like the same stuff that he always does. Now, am I going to just say, like, this album was horrible? No, man. I mean, I think it was decent. Like, it's got some entertaining beats. I mean, I think it's a cool album to, like, party to. But that's really just all about it, man. I feel like where we're going today in the world, especially with all the events that are coming up, like the election and other things, I feel that there should be some rappers out there that actually should say something. And no, we don't have to go back to the 90s. We don't have to go back to the golden era and have the KRS-Ones or the Public Enemies or whoever's, even the Outcasts. Although that would be kind of dope right now if they dropped another album, like their old stuff. But we don't really need that right now. I mean, it could be some new rappers. It could be some new up-and-coming rappers. But my point is that I think we need to stop having rappers just talk about how much money and how many females they get. Like, there's even a verse from 21 Savage where he says, I treat the rap game like a toilet. And I said, yo, is that really what he said right there? Did he really say that? So I said, yo, you know what? I got to go to Genius. Let me read this. He talks about niggas getting, I can't even repeat this because if I repeat this, they're going to flag this video. But yeah, okay. Yeah, the B words come around, suck the They suck it. They don't pull they phone out. Them the ones that them pros. Okay. Yeah, B word. If you love me, then spoil me. I treat the rap game like a toilet. Right here, yo. Right here, yo. He says right here, he treats the rap game like a toilet. Now, I could already tell by his trash verse or trash verses, but it's like, come on. Are the rappers really just putting it out there in your face like, yo, man, ain't got no respect for this. Ain't got no respect for this culture. And it makes me go back to think about how hip-hop started and what hip-hop was really about. And fast forward to where we are now, it's like, damn, man, how much rap music has fallen off. Don't get me wrong. Does Drake have talent? Do these rappers have talent? Do they have skills? Like even the song with Sexyy Red, put your hands on your knees and all that bullshit. Oh, cool. Yeah, man. That's come on, man. Come on, yo. Like, let's be real. Is it really that dope? I mean, I was looking at the tweets. I was looking at what people were saying. From what I see a lot of people saying that the album was mid. And one of the things that we do at beatGrade is we look at the producers. Who is the production team behind this album? And when I look at a lot of them, like I see 40 on a lot of these beats, man. I got to say, though, 40 is still putting it down. He's got to be one of the most underrated producers out there. I mean, for real. Like even the one, Virginia Beach, that a lot of people are saying that they like. I think it had a Frank Ocean sample. 40's on the production on that. Just putting it down, the one with Party Next Door. I also see Boy Wonder up on here, the one with J. Cole, of course. A lot of producers on that, though. Cole, man, I'm assuming maybe that's J. Cole. Tay Keith. Okay, so we already know he's out there doing his thing. So, yeah, I mean, Drake is going and getting all his heavy hitters. But the one interesting thing to me were beats like 8am in Charlotte, where it almost sounds like Kanye type of production to me. And some people said that they believe that Drake was taking shots at Kanye on this project. I'm not sure if I really heard that. I got to go back and listen again. But I will say that it sounds like Kanye or Ye is missing from this project. Also, could you imagine if K. Kendrick got on the track with J. Cole? First person shooter. Imagine if Kendrick got on that track. So you had J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick Lamar on that song. That would have broke the internet, man. Like, that would have just, whoa. That might have set the hip-hop thing, like, in a whole nother stratosphere. That might have just took the whole culture to a different direction. But, surprisingly, it didn't happen. Because J. Cole even says that in the rhyme, right? He says, like, hey, who do you think is the best? Overall, man, I think that this album was overrated. It just sounds like a typical average album to me. I think I even tweeted where I said, you know, I don't want people to say, oh, well, it's just a different culture, or different genre, or different generation. Not technically, because when Drake came out, I believe his So Far Gone EP or mixtape. Yeah, it was a mixtape. That was fire, man. Like, I was feeling that. And speaking of which, he had a lot of Kanye beats on that mixtape. So it's very surprising to me that you have a lot of tracks that sound like Kanye on this album, but yet Kanye is nowhere to be found on this project. Yeah, it sounds to me as, it's even funny too, because Drake even says people think he's Illuminati because he's rich. That was actually one of my favorite tracks on the album. But I mean, it does sound like that type of an album, Drake. I mean, look at the artists that you have on here. It almost seems like the artists you put on here are just the artists that are current right now. It's not really like, oh, okay, I need to sit down and I need to collab with these people and we need to do this project together. It almost sounds more like, oh, you're what's hot right now. You're what's trending right now. Come on, jump on my album right now and help push these sales. Let's make some money. This album to me just seems like a business transaction. It doesn't really seem like Drake sat down and said, yo, you know what? I got to do this album, man. Like, this is something I got to talk about. This just sounds like something that he just put out. Like, I don't know. Like maybe you had a deal closing with your label and you had to drop another project under contract. That's the feeling that I'm getting from this album. I don't feel anything game changing, nothing impactful, as I mentioned, nothing meaningful, and definitely it's not groundbreaking. That's for sure. There's nothing unique about this album. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't Drake, I would think that it just sounds like everything else that's already out there. And another thing, though, is that everybody needs to stop with Drake being number one hit away from Michael Jackson. Maybe some of us out there that have been in the music industry for a long time need to reiterate this. If it wasn't for artists like Michael Jackson, there would be no Drakes. Okay? Let's not forget that MTV did not want to play Michael Jackson videos until I believe it was at the time Epic Records was on CBS, I believe. The president called into MTV and said, if you don't play Michael Jackson, I'm going to pull all the other artists that you were playing, which was predominantly white male rock stars. And because at the time they were like the universal, basically every artist that was on MTV was on this label. MTV was like, okay, if they pull all those artists, we're not going to be able to play anybody. So I guess we got to play some black music. Oh, now you want to celebrate the hip hop 50, but y'all didn't want to play Michael Jackson. People need to understand the barriers and the walls that Michael Jackson broke down. Yo, like stop trying to say that we are in a similar time as when Michael Jackson put out his music. Let's not forget that when Michael Jackson was dropping Thriller, Bad, Off the Wall, and all these classics, let's not forget that there was no internet at that time, or at least the internet was not available to the public at that time. A number one hit away from what? Like, how are we measuring this? Is this male soloist with most number one hits in 100 history? Like, how are we judging hits now? Are we judging what people actually go out and buy? Or are we just judging by what is streamed on Spotify, which Russ and other people have already pointed out that the record labels pay for? So they're just rigging the system. They're paying for the streams to make you think that it has a lot of streams. So therefore you go and you buy the streams and you pay for the streams of streams that have already been paid for. It's a crazy cycle, man, if you really think about it. It's like the fact that Drake is on every single radio station at the same time. It's almost like the machine is just constantly pushing this music. And like I said in the previous video, I said, yo, because Drake is that guy right now, like everybody's saying, or he's been that guy for a while, I'll give him that. It's like, well, what you going to do, man? You got the voice, man. Are you going to speak up and you going to say something? Or are you just going to, as I already assumed, speak about the same stuff over and over again? Yeah, man. I mean, these rappers are just coming out with these trash lyrics and not even caring. And there's really nothing that's being said. I mean, it's really dumb down music. I mean, we could just go to Genius right now and let's look at the lyrics. When they start to, he said, niggas usually send their verses back to me and they be terrible, just like a 2-year-old. I love a dinner with some fine women. Wow, that was just like a switch up right there, right? I love a dinner with some fine women when they start debating about who the GOAT, the GOT. I'm like, go ahead, say it then. Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who you B words really rooting for? Like a kid that act bad from January to November. Nigga, it's just you and J. Cole. I mean, come on, man. That's average, yo. That's average raps. Here we go. All the Drake stans, come in the comment section. Nah, man, that shit is whack. Those are average raps, in my opinion. So, yeah. You guys are more than welcome to love this album. To me, I feel like it's overrated, overhyped. Like I said, it wasn't really saying anything. I feel that there's a lot of other rappers out there that are coming out that have more of a message in their music. Like I was kind of expecting when you have a title that says "For All the Dogs," you know. I think a lot of people can agree. We're expecting like something that's gonna be like boom, like banging, like in your face. But it was just more like, oh, for all the dogs, and it was really soft, and that's cool. But I mean, let's not, forget to mention the demonic features of the album with the black and the goat looking kind of weird with horns, animal with the red eyes that people say was drawn by his son, but I've also heard some people speculate that it was not. So, I mean, who knows? But I will say that, yeah, it's exactly what I expected, to be honest with you. I wasn't really expecting more, and I wasn't expecting less from what Drake was going to do with this album. He actually gave me exactly what I was expecting. But I actually did kind of think for Drake to be at the level of fame and success that he is at, that he would deliver just a little bit more, have a little bit more something to say. But I guess you could say that he kind of did on Away From Home. I feel like Away From Home, that's when he was kind of telling you who he was before the fame. So, not a bad album. Not a bad album. It was enjoyable. I really did enjoy the track with J. Cole and Virginia Beach, and there's a few others on here that I did like. So, yeah, man. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Please, let me know in the comments because I see it's all over the place.